All right, thank you. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah, good afternoon.
All right. Before I start, I would like to know, is there anyone here that is in stage 3? If you're in stage 3, let me see your hand up. Okay, so there is no one that is in stage 3. Everybody here is in stage, either stage 4 or stage 5. That's what I want to believe. But then I saw some things that I would like to talk about on our task. No, some people do not know how to make their pages responsive. And some people do not know how to use width and height on their page. And even naming their files and folders, it's difficult for some. So we are going to look at that and some other stuff too. So we'll be looking at that. Okay, so I saw someone's, let me share my screen. Okay. This is, I believe everyone can see my screen. All right. Okay, so this is what someone did. This is what someone did, and it was like asking my page is responsive and all that. So I don't really know. So some would just go ahead to do mobile responsiveness for just one of the screen view, like max width of 320 pixel, and then forget about the width of 375 and 425. You need to work on all these and even on tabs too. Then medium screen and even large screen. You have to work on it. Then when you notice that your page, when you are trying to scroll horizontally, it's shifting. You know that your page is not responsive. Your page has to be fixed whenever you try to scroll horizontally. So you only need the vertical scroll, not the horizontal scroll. So whenever you're working on something and then you notice that your page is scrolling horizontally, it's not normal, it's not okay. You have to fix it. Okay. So like this particular task now, it's not responsive, even though some of the content might be well arranged, but still having this disqualify you. It's your work is not responsive at all. So we should always try to fix that whenever we're working on responsiveness for any device. Okay. Then I also noticed that some people use this width that is more than 100% for their images and some other content. Okay, so if you look at this, let me just inspect it. It's not like this person used it or what. Some of the things I've seen, you see that width is more than 100%, and that is not normal. It's not okay at all. But this person used a width of 300 pixel and it's affecting his work for the image, it's affecting his page responsiveness. For the images here on mobile, you can use 100% and everything will just fit in. So you don't have that overflow again. Okay. Then the height, you can use auto so that it will have the original size, or then you can use 100% so that it will just fit into the particular section you scale it to. And then, okay, that is auto. Okay, so this is height auto. Then for the text too, okay, so this is where you see the when I hover and then you're seeing that indication where the particular section stop. The text overflows the boundary. So it shouldn't be like that. Whenever you are designing, try to make sure that everything fits into the particular section that it's supposed to fit into. It shouldn't overflow its parent element. Okay. The child element should fit into the parent element. Okay, so whenever we design, we should try and work on that. Okay, then another thing we have to try and focus on is the way we name our page. So let me show you guys that. I'll be using someone's GitHub here. I want to clone this person's work and then we try to see how we can amend some things from it. So to clone a particular project on GitHub, you come to go to where you open that particular repo you want to clone. You go to where you have code. Okay. Then you click on this icon here. You can clone as HTTPS or SSH or GitHub CLI using this. Okay, and then you can. I want to use HTTPS to clone this. So you just click on the icon here, it's copied. Or when you highlight it and then you just do Ctrl+C in your system, it will copy. Then you go to your terminal. Let me create a folder for that particular project. Okay, so from here I will open my command line. Okay, then I will use, let me git batch. So I'll use my git batch here and then just paste the command. And okay, so it's not giving me everything I need. Then I'll use git command, git clone. Then the URL I copied and then press enter. So it's cloning everything for me. It's done cloning. So when that is done, I will go to where I cloned it. Okay, I think this is it. All right. Let me check. Let me confirm. All right, this is what I cloned from the person's repo. Okay. So this is what we'll be working with. But then let me open that with my VS Code. Okay. All right, okay. So for this is the folder I just cloned, and I have scripts folder here. I have images folder, I have CSS folder, I have about contact us file, index file, and services file. If you go to the person's repo, this is the person's repo. You see everything you've cloned. You see the CSS, images, script, about us file, contact us, index, and services folder. All of them have been cloned into one folder on my local system. Okay, so we can now work with this and then push our changes to GitHub. Then if we are working on the same project, if I'm working with that person on the same project, I could just create a peer and then the person matching will match my peer with the main project. But that is not what we're going to do today. So what I want to show you with naming your file. Let's say we have this about us now. Let me rename this. I noticed that some people, when naming their files, will use something like this: about, then space, and then us. When you're naming your file this way, if you are hosting, it might work on local, but when you are hosting it, you see that it breaks. It might show error 404 or things like that. Okay, so try to avoid it. Is either you just give it this dash, give it this hyphen, or you remove all the space you have there, so that you will not encounter any issue when pushing your code. Okay, and also try to avoid using uppercase when naming your files too. It's not like it's wrong, but it's a bad practice in HTML. So it's best to use lowercase when naming your files in HTML. Okay. So for your stage folder 2, that is the main folder that you're working on. This person really did a great job. He named stage 4-task. So there's no space in between any of these words. There's no space in between stage and stage 4 and the task. You use the dash to demarcate the space. So whenever you are doing any naming for folder, for the file, try to avoid spacing. And then I mostly used lowercase or lowercase for my files and folders. So I'll just change that to lowercase. Okay, I'll have to close this before I can save that. All right. So let me open it back with VS Code. Okay. Then I'll return this to dash. All right, so that works. Okay. Then if I open this page with live server, try and open that with live server. Okay, so this is the page, and I want to see if this page is fully responsive or not. Okay, so just opening it, you can easily know that the page is responsive or not. And it's shaking, it's showing that it's not responsive. So you try to avoid that. And some people try to use overflow hidden just to hide this overflow, this scrolling, or this horizontal scroll is equally wrong. You notice that when you use that overflow hidden, some contents will shift to one side, but you don't want that. You have to maintain consistency in whatever you are doing. So whatever page or whatever you're working on, the page, the spacing, the spacing on your left must equal the spacing on your right, okay? But then when you notice that your page is scrolling and then you use overflow hidden, it will now shift some of the content to one side, and that consistency will not be there, and it's not nice. Okay. So let's try and see how we can use Bootstrap to correct some of these mistakes, so that when you're working on it, you take notes. So whatever project you will be assigned to do, you can quickly do it comfortably without having any issue. Okay. Then I also want to point out that using ID is good, or is very good to use ID. But we have to know that IDs are unique. So you use it when you need to use it, like when there is really need for you to use it. Some people will use ID here as the parent element, and then in their CSS they will just be adding style as um, adding style to the ID and leaving ID as a parent. So assuming you use ID here, just have ID. And you have, let's say, hero section here. Okay. So let's assume you have ID here, and then you have hero section. This ID, this content here for the particular ID is unique. So in your style, someone might do something like this. In your style, you have something like this. Okay. Then you are trying to call another a child element. Let's say container child element. Then you just copy, and then you now try to call another one, another child element. Let's say text white, and then you just get the text white class, and then you try to set up your CSS property. It will actually work, but it's not a good practice though. So you just try to use ID and make it unique. So instead of nesting using classes with IDs, it's good you just let it stand alone. Yeah. Okay, so back to the main page here. So starting from the nav bar, when you go to Bootstrap documentation, I don't know if anyone has a question from what I just said now. Does anyone has a question? You can raise your hand and ask. Okay, but everyone can hear me, right?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Okay, so we have navigation bar on Bootstrap. So when you search for nav bar, you see different navs coming up. So let's check this nav bar. Okay, so we have this nav bar for our header content. For the header content, all right, thank you, Mr. We have this nav bar for the header content. So you can get this section, or you just click on copy. When you copy, you go to your code, paste it, and then start editing some things to fit into your design. Okay. But then some people are using this for their nav bar. These ones are nav items. You notice a difference between these. These ones are just links. That collapse tab is not on this particular one you're seeing here. So whenever you are using your, whenever you are creating this nav bar, sorry, let me just go back to that page. Whenever you're creating nav bar with Bootstrap, be sure you are using the nav bar class and not the nav item. So this is the nav bar class. When you search nav bar, you see drop down of nav. You have nav bar, you have navs and tabs, you have other ones. But the one you want to use is the nav bar. So you just click on that. And if you're like me, someone like me that don't like typing, you can just copy this to your code and start editing it. Copy this to our code. I just want to, but it's okay. But I want to show some of us that are using nav tabs, a nav bar for their from Bootstrap. So this is what you have. You can remove. We don't need this form. That is, if your nav bar doesn't have form, you can remove that form, and you can also remove this. Then you have other links attached to it. So we have home. Let me remove this other nav. Okay, so we have home. We have home already, and we need services. We need services, and we also need about us. Okay. So when I reload my page, okay, so this is what I have, and then if I inspect, you see this drop down, this toggle bar here. And then when you click on the toggle, it's bring down other contents. But if you use this nav bar, let's try and use the nav item rather. Use the nav item. Let's say I copy this nav item also, and then I want to use it on my the nav section on my code. I'll just remove this. Let me remove this first. Then I paste and reload my page. I'll reload my page. Oops, sorry, this isn't what I want. Okay, reload. This page is reloaded already because I'm using. Okay, so for the nav item, this is what I have. Just spot the difference. Then on mobile, you don't have that toggle. That hamburger is not there for you to copy. So you see the difference. These ones are just list of things that you can use. It can be on your page, the body of your page. It can be on the, you can use it for the list anyway. But for the main navigation bar with Bootstrap, just go to nav bar and use any navigation bar from here. You can use this too. So anyone you pick, just pick anyone you like and use. These are samples of how it will look when you copy and paste it. So some of us that did that mistake to use the nav items, please just update it and then push your work back so that it will be updated. Okay, so for this, I will just return back to what we had earlier using Control-C. Let me return back to what was there before. Okay. All right, so I still have this person's work here. So I'll just leave its navigation, but it still looks okay, though it's actually shifting, but I'll just leave it the way it is. Then for this section, it's not checking anymore. I want us to try and use Bootstrap to finish this project without much styling. So it's really easy for you, for a website like this, it's really easy for you to even start with Bootstrap without even using too much styling on it. So let's see how we can actually achieve this page using just Bootstrap. I think I should create my own index page and then I will just copy the header here. And I want to believe that everyone know how to use Google Fonts. I'll just copy the header and then then I'll need the Bootstrap JavaScript here. So the Bootstrap JavaScript is inside scripts, slash bootstrap.min.js. Okay. All right. So for I'll be starting from the beginning to design a page with Bootstrap. So I will need my navigation bar. So I will take this particular one, then go to my code and just fix it up here. Then remove the UL. I don't need this. I don't need this drop down. We don't have drop down. And I will also need, I will change this to, let's see what we have. I'll change that to about us. Then change this to services. And then I'll also need a page for contact us. So let me just duplicate this. Sorry. Let me just copy this. This is going to be for contact us. All right. Then I'll open this with live server. Okay, this is all we have. And content, I should push this to the right. Let me see how we can push that to the right. Okay, so I have Okay. We should use Bootstrap margin. Let me be sure of that. Let me be sure of where to fix the margin. Okay. Okay, so I'll have my margin on to be. I think Bootstrap classes margin in auto. Yeah, that should work. Or didn't work. Margin starts. Margin starts. Margin starts. Okay, that works. Margin starts auto for margin left auto. So Bootstrap class is actually margin start auto. And okay, so I need more spacing by the left and also on the right part. So I'll have container flute already here, but that doesn't give me the desired spacing I need. I'll remove the flute and then just use container so that that spacing will be more I think. Okay, so I think this is cool. This is nice. So if I inspect my page now, and then click on my drop down, my toggle bar, you see drop down of this thing, the menu items. Then if I increase, you still see it there. I increase more, you see it. The more I increase, then on a tab, and then this is the large screen. Okay. So this works really fine, both mobile, large screen, and all screen sizes, in fact. So you see that there's no CSS class, no CSS property, no custom CSS at all, just the Bootstrap. Okay. Then for the image section, this image section. Sorry, let me expand this. For this image section, I think the person used image for this section. Okay. Okay, this is also an image. Okay. So if you have a logo, if you have any logo, you can change this to the name of the logo using image. So I'll leave this as logo so that you know that is just for logo. Or the I can quickly get his logo and use. Let me search for his logo. Let me search for. Sorry. Okay, it's using our logo here. Just get that. Then here I'll have my image tag. I'll have my image tag. Then the name of the name of the logo, which is the image logo. Okay. Then in any website you visit, when you click on the logo, it takes you to the landing page. That's the home page. So whenever you are using or wherever you are using a logo, it should always direct you to the landing page. That is just normal for all websites. I can choose to use index.html here to take me to the landing page, or using this / indicates that it's a root file. So the root file is actually your index.html. So leaving it as a / will automatically take someone to the index page. So when I reload this is too big. Okay, so we have to reduce this. I'll have to reduce this and make it smaller using width of width of 50 pixel and width of 50 or 40 pixel. So let me see if I have that width in my Bootstrap, which I am sure it's not there in Bootstrap. Okay, let's see, we have this is for let me just see. And this is for breakpoints. Doesn't exist here. This is okay. Guys, I'm trying to search for the width. Is not giving me what I want. Just giving me border width and breakpoints width. So width. Okay. Okay, so this is the section I was looking for. The width we have 25%. That is the least. That is the least Bootstrap can offer. Okay, so after searching and you can't find the particular property, CSS property you look for in Bootstrap, you can customize your page. You can customize your page using your custom CSS. I don't want to tamper with his own style, so I will just create my own CSS here. Style dot let me use mine as CSS dot CSS. Okay. Then I will just change his own CSS to my CSS. Okay. Then inside that particular style, I'll create a logo class for this image. So I have class logo. Then in my CSS, I will now have the logo and add the width of 40 pixels or 50 pixels. I'll leave it at 40. Okay, so this is what we have now. Then on the image, the hero image, let me see what you used here for the hero image. Okay, so this is the name of the hero image you use. I will create another section for that hero image. Then for that section, I will need to give it a class name of, let's say, hero section. You know, Bootstrap doesn't have a particular image translation code. So you just have to create your own image image in your CSS. So this is the image section class I created, and I need a background image, or just background, and then the URL. Then just paste what I have here. So you know the reason for having this // images and the name of the image. So this is this image is actually in your CSS file. So in your CSS file, you're telling the style to actually go out of this CSS file and search for images folder. Images folder is on the root, is on the root folder. So it goes out of the image folder, the particular folder that style is. Goes out of the particular CSS folder. Then search for an images folder. And then inside the images folder, then search for this the name of this image. So that is why you are having this .. Okay, but if you are using any image in your HTML is actually in your root folder, in your root directory. So you don't need to include a .. that is double dot. You just need to locate where that image folder is. So if we were to use it on our HTML page, it will just be image . It will just be image, and then the name of the folder, which is images, / the name of the image. So the name of the image is hero 2, and this. Okay, but this is not what we want. So let me just remove it. I wanted to show you guys how to use it. So it's not showing because it's a background image. So since it's a background image, we need to add content on top. Either you add content on top or you give a padding to see the image we added. So we'll just add this content. The first thing we'll be adding is the future is digital. Use H1 for that. Then the next one is an image. Next one is an image. So we just use an image for this digital here. So this is the name of the image, digital I will just get the name and then go back to my code and paste it there. Then let's take you there. It's another text we need on the hero section. So we have, sorry, I don't need this. Let me remove that. So we can have that as H5 and just put our content. Then the next thing is going to be the button. Get started button, get started. Get started, okay. Then for the styling, let's see if our page is coming. Okay, so we have this, but it's scrolling. So what are we going to do to fix this scroll on this hero page? But before then, I'll need to wrap everything inside container to maintain that consistency. So I'll have container here. Then I'll put all my content inside. Then for the image, I want to use a bootstrap class, that is ing fluid. ing fluid will give me a max width of 100% and a height of auto. Okay, so our page is fixed now, and our content for the future is we need a white text for it. So for Bootstrap has this text white or text light, but I'll use text white so it comes out really sharp. And then text white for this too. But instead of having all these classes on each of them, I can just give this hero section a text white. A text white class, and everything is set, and then text align, text center. So bring everything to the center. All right. And we also need padding too. We also need padding. So I'll use PY5. Okay, this is getting better. And for my button, I will use a btn class, and I'll use a default btn here. Default btn, I think it's not going to give us that color we need. Okay. So let me check if Bootstrap has a background color of white for btn. btn buttons. Okay, so we have lights. So I can use btn lights. All right, and we have this. And I also want to give spacing to my content. Let's say I'll just give spacing to this, but this will not be too much. Okay, that works fine. Okay. I don't know if anyone has a question. Does anybody have question? If you have a question, you can raise your hand and answer the question. Okay. Tao fake. Please ask your question. Sorry, I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Unmute yourself and ask your question.
All right, good afternoon. Thank you very much for the lessons. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you. Continue.
This question is actually general and not particular to this work this task we are doing. Ordinarily, I expect that each time we submit tasks, we should have a feedback on each of the tasks that we submit, so that we know how exactly we have performed, rather than having a general class. Like, for instance, I have submitted my task, you have seen it, then a comment should follow it, so that I can go back and check. This particular one we are doing, as a learner, I wouldn't know how much I have performed in my particular task, except I have a comment from a tutor, a mentor who has actually checked it. I feel we don't have it until there is time for promotion. That is the only time we get to hear that, oh, your work is not done properly, go and do it. Your work is not done properly, go and do it. But as we start at the beginning of each stage, I feel we should be having feedback on each of the tasks that we submit. Thank you very much. That's my observation, please.
All right, thank you for your concern. That will be addressed after this. Okay. Suleiman, your hand is up. Do you have a question?
Yes, thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, my question is about the links, home, about, or services. The way you moved it to the end, I noticed you used a bootstrap class of MS Auto, but
Yes.
I suppose MS was supposed to be margin start
Yes.
in bootstrap. So I
Yes.
was thinking maybe ME Auto would have been better because the E stands for end.
Okay. Well, it's because you are moving it to the right, right? Okay.
Yes.
In your CSS property, margin is for margin left. Okay. So to actually achieve that right, moving the item to the right, you use margin left auto. And in Bootstrap class, you have it as MS auto. Okay. So if you try using ME is for margin right auto. It will not work. Let me
Okay. Okay, why I was asking was because I had challenges trying to move it at first. And that was because I noticed in Bootstrap 4, they were using ML and
Yes.
MR. So, but in Bootstrap 5, they now change it. Anything that is for ML becomes ME, which is MS, which is start. Then anything that was for M right becomes ME, which is end. That's why I was asking.
Okay. Sorry, actually, anything that is ML in Bootstrap 4, okay, is actually MS. Then anything that is MR in Bootstrap 4, in Bootstrap 5 is ME.
ME, exactly.
Yeah. So it's just the same as using your margin left and margin right.
Margin right.
And I wanted to use margin left to move this item as. Because if you are using, let me inspect and then just show something here. So margin auto, margin left auto is actually by default, it's by your left now. Then you are trying to move it away from the left, use margin left auto. You are moving it away from the right, if it by default it's by your right, use margin right auto. But then in Bootstrap, margin left is actually MS, and then margin right is ME. Okay.
Okay.
So you're
Okay,
moving
thank you
it.
very much.
Yeah, you can always go back to check. MR, you're moving it away from the end. I don't know if you are getting me.
Yes, I understand what you're saying now.
Okay. Any other question? Okay, Omotayo, your hand is up. You can ask your question.
Okay, ma'am, please, I want you to come again, please. You said if you are moving from the right, if you are moving from the right to the left, is MS or Abi?
If you are moving from the right to the left,
Okay.
is MS ME auto. Yeah. Then if you are moving from left to right, is MS auto.
Okay, left to right. Okay. All right, thanks.
Any other question? Okay, let's proceed. But before we proceed, I want to check and see if my page, this particular section, is responsive before I jump to the next one. So in your development, as a web developer, any section you're working on, just be sure each section you work on, you check and see if that particular section is responsive before you proceed to another one. And this is looking nice. Okay, then this is also working. Okay, so we can now proceed to the next section we have, and the next section is okay. Is this section here? And with this, you can achieve this section without any CSS. So after all this, you are going to compare the number of, or the amount of CSS the person had and the one we just finished. Okay, so let's just continue. We need this image. This is an image. So I'll just get this image. And for the rows and columns, let me give this a container class. And for the row, we have a class of row here. So a row is divided into two. So the first one will take 6. First columns will take 6. So that SM it's going to be called 12. So on the small screen, you have it as full width. Then on the medium screen, you have it as 6. That's half of the screen. And then on the large screen, you have it as 6 also. Then the first one is going to be for the image. So I'll just attach my image tag. And then the name of the image. Then the next thing we're going to do is adding the text. Then the text will also have the same columns, 6 on the medium and large screen, and then 12 on a small screen, on a small device. Okay, so this is my content. Just like this. Use H3 here. And then for the button, find out more button, I'll use find out more. Find out more. Then so this is another Bootstrap class. But then since this is going to be a link, I can't change this to a link, then to an anchor tag. So I can add my href, and then just find out more. This could be like for the About Us page, and you can add the About Us or any page that you want this to link to. Okay, then let me see what we have. So this is what we have, and it's affecting our page. Scrolling. Then on mobile, so you notice that this is also scrolling. It's not even scrolling. So. Okay, it's occupying a large section and is not, the other contents are not visible. So what we'll do, since it's an image, we'll just use container fluid to bring it back to its parent element. So I will use container img fluid here. Not container fluid, sorry, image fluid, img fluid. Oh, okay. All right, so this is it, and we just give it padding. Let me give this PY5, and for the button, I will give it a class of PT. Let me give it 3, and just look at what we have. PT3. No, empty. Okay. So let me compare what we have here with what we have. So this is the original templates. So they look the same. Yeah. Find out more we designed. Let me see what you used here. Okay, so we made this 6. Give it. Oh. Okay. So he gave it a row, and then inside the row, he added core SM12 and core MD6, which is correct, and also give it padding bottom. Okay. Then on the next row, he added core SM12, core MD6, and give it padding left and right 5 pixels. And then align middle. The align middle is not from Bootstrap class, it's actually from his own class. Or we'll just leave our own this way. Or if we have to add padding, we can add padding for the text. So the text will have padding left. Let me use 5 here. Sorry, there's nothing like PL. So yes. Did it work? Okay, Suleiman, your hand is up. Do you have any question or have anything?
Yes, thank you. Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. Continue.
Okay, thank you very much. My question is about editing the CSS classes. If, for instance, like define out more, we've used danger as the CSS class, the button danger. If, for instance, we don't want it to be red, and probably we don't want it to be any of the predefined styling that CSS has, we want to change it to something, let's say purple.
Then you can change. You can now
Yes.
customize it according to how you want.
Okay, how do we do that? Are we supposed to use the same class, that's the button danger, as the class to make our custom CSS?
Assuming you have, assuming you want the color, the button danger, or the particular color you want to change, okay, for the button danger, maybe let's say you have this and you want a red color that looks like this or something like pink, something like this. So all your BTN danger, you want all of them to have this color. You can pick this bootstrap class, okay? Then go to your own style. Do not change what bootstrap has. Go to your own class and then give it your background color. And give it your background color. And then your border color, let's say PX solid, then the color. So all your BTN class will have this this color. Let me see if this works. Let me be sure. Let me confirm this and be sure that. Okay, so it's actually work. The class, the bootstrap border color. Did you notice that? Okay. So you can do that. Another way is just class to it. Just remove the bootstrap class and then attach a different class. Let's say you just want something like BG range. Just change this to this. And let's see what we have. Okay, so we have this and the text color, you can attach text white color, then any color, any light color that you want to use. Okay, so those are two ways you can actually change bootstrap classes. Doesn't mean that you must use that bootstrap class. If it doesn't match what you want, you can change it. But for this particular page, we have this color in bootstrap, so we don't need to change anything. We just need to use the bootstrap classes instead of changing and then making our page look really having so much properties in our CSS file. Victor, Suleiman, I believe that answers your question, right?
Yes, thank you very much. Because the challenge was at which classes to use before.
Okay, yeah, I'm with you.
Right, you can
okay, so
question.
My question is, when we go to the head section, right? So on my own part of the assignment, I have an extended how will I put it? The content in the head section was a bit I think 3 or 4 lines. So when I wanted to text for responsiveness, when I reduced it to like I think 320, I noticed that my buttons and some content they were overflowing to the next section. So I don't know how to contain that.
Sorry, when you are doing what? When you are using what?
Okay, let's say this place we have. Let's take you there on the head section itself, the Euro section, the head section.
Yes.
Okay, let's assume we have more content there now. Let's say we have more content here, right?
Okay.
And I noticed that when I wanted to text for the responsiveness, that when I wanted to reduce the screen size to like 320, I noticed that the button and the content there, they were overflowing to the next section where we have the design, whatever there. Yeah.
Okay,
So I
like
wanted to know how to contain that. Yes,
they
yeah, they were going
to
down
the
to
white spacing, right?
exactly, yeah.
Okay, I want to ask you, did you add any height class to it?
Yes, I did. Okay, yeah. I think I did that to the image. I gave it a view height.
Okay. So
On
that is the
Bootstrap,
issue.
a Bootstrap view height.
So you gave it how many VH?
A VH of 100 for the Bootstrap, just like the Bootstrap documentation. I gave a VH of 100.
Okay. Most time when you give height to your images, if it's a background image, it will actually, some of the content, if they're more than that height, will move away from that image. So if you are designing for desktop, you also need to design for mobile too. When you try to change classes for desktop, also consider how it's going to affect your mobile. So you're using VH for desktop, and you also need to consider the mobile screen too. If Bootstrap has a class for mobile, that particular height class for mobile, you can consider using it. If it doesn't have, you create your own class. Okay. Using Bootstrap doesn't mean you're not going to create your own class, you're going to create it. But be sure that whatever class you are creating is not on Bootstrap, doesn't have it, it's on Bootstrap in Bootstrap documentation, so that you will not be repeating code.
Okay. So to rectify that now, I have to remove the view height from my image. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, you have to remove the height from the image. If you really need to use it on desktop, then you have to remove it for mobile.
Okay.
I don't know how your page looks, but that is what I can say for now.
Okay. I think I'll go over it again and check. Yeah, thank you.
Motayo, I'm seeing your hand up.
Yes, ma'am. During my sites, during my task, I was actually confused of where to use container and container fluid. So I want to know the difference between the two. Like, where can I use it?
Where you can use your container fluid and container.
Yes, ma'am.
Using container, the only thing that container does for you is giving that space, the left and right spacing. Okay. Container fluid have this little line, a small line, your left and right screen. It has a smaller spacing. Then for container, it has a bigger spacing. As you can see, this spacing you have here by your right, just before the logo, and the space you have just before, after these contactors. Okay, so it's container that's giving us that space. If I use container flu, this space will be smaller. So
Okay.
if you have a content, let's say a background image that span across your page, like this one, you don't need container float or container, because using container will give that space, and that is not what you want. You want this to fill the page.
Okay.
So the only time you're using container is when you actually want a space, the left space and the right space. If you don't want to keep any space, you don't need it.
All right, ma'am.
Yes.
All right, thanks.
Any other question? Let's continue, please. So the next section is this digital solution. So this I will use for that section. Bootstrap doesn't have that background color, so we're going to use our own background. So I have the class for digital section, then I'll fix the class here, and then I'll just get this background color. Let me check what he used. Okay, this is what he used. So I'll just get the background color and just fix it here. And I will also get the content. Now that will get one. Then the other one is I remove. Just grab this. Okay, and after adding my background color, I'll need that space, that left and right space. So before my content, I need to add the container so that we get that space. So let me see what I have. And the content is text align center. Okay, I'll use text center here. Just to wrap it up, so I won't be giving style to all my tags. I'll just use text center here. Okay, so everything has been shifted to the center. Then I'll just give it a padding. Okay, I can just give the whole this thing a padding, the whole section a padding of PY. All right, looks great. So the next thing we'll be looking at is this section. So first we have the first row with the icons. So for this row, we're going to divide the rows into two. So first we have div with a row, and we also have div with a column of 6, and we have the icon here. You can decide to use rows for this, for the icon and the contents, but I will not be using that. I'll use flex, Bootstrap flex class for it. So let me just create a div for that. And then for the image is, let me get the name of this image. Okay. Just add it here. And then the contents, let me use another div since I'll be using flex there. And I will have the title, then I'll just paste it here. And then for the paragraph, I will just paste it here. And then I will display them flex. So the flex in Bootstrap is div flex. So let me see what we have. Oh, this is too big. Okay, we need to reduce this class. You need to reduce the icon. So let me see if I give it a width of, if I give it the width of 30 pixels, okay, this will work. So let's give it a width of 30 pixels, but it should also have a class, a background color of white. So in Bootstrap, I will use Bootstrap background color. So I'll have BG white, and then I should give it a padding of let's say 5. And then for the width, since Bootstrap doesn't have that class, I'll just give this a class. Okay, we have class already. So I'll just give it a class of icon. Let me use icon size. And then in my CSS, I will have width of 30 pixels. So let's see what we have. Okay. And height of 30 pixels, or height of 80 pixels is too much. Can use 77. Okay, and the padding is equally too much, so we'll reduce the padding. I'll give this a height of, let's give it 80 pixels, and then the width of 80 pixels too. Then for the padding, we're going to reduce this padding to like, let me leave it at 3. And we also need the circle, the border radius. So we'll have rounded circle. That is for to make it rounded, fully rounded. and the image is too big too. So let's reduce it. I'll leave it at 50 and 50. Still okay. Maybe the color should be too. Use 40 so it will be visible. All right. Okay, this is free. And we also need this spacing in between. I will use some gap. Gap is a bootstrap class for giving a flex item space in between. So I will give it gap of 5. Okay, so we have that space, and that is also, let's check our mobile. Okay, but this is not too good on mobile. I noticed something. When we're doing the code, this is just for mobile and for all screen sizes. So for mobile, we'll need to make it 12 on mobile. Then on a large screen, on a medium screen, we need 6. Then on a large screen, we need 6 also. So let's still go back to our mobile. All right, so this is looking good. It's fair now. But then let's give it padding top. I will give this PR padding, this row PY. Let me give it PY 4. All right, so this is fair. And we will do the same thing for other contents. I'll just copy and paste, then change the content, then just change the content for the next paragraph. Okay, and we can also change the image. Okay, so this is it. Okay. So the reason why that is breaking is that I close my row and then copy everything from that row down. So I don't need to. I need to put everything inside the row and then be sure that my row, then be sure that my indentation is correct. Okay. Yeah, this is it. We also have other content. So for other ones, if you don't use row, you see this content is going to break down. Even if you don't add another extra row to it for the second row. Why? Because you've given it six columns. You've already divided the columns into 6. So every other content, when it gets to 12, will break down. Okay. Any other content, whether you add row or not, it's going to break down when it gets to the last columns, which is 12. Right. So we can do this, or we can create another row for our project. All right. So I don't know if anybody has a question on this regarding this, then just take that. And if you have any question, any issue you have, I'll just take your question and then maybe we'll proceed, or because of time, I'll just respect everyone's time and we'll stop there. But if you have question, you can raise your hand and ask your question. Okay, so no one has a question. So we're moving to the next section, this section here. And I'll just work on this section and then we'll just remain the other parts for another day. Okay. So for this client section, we'll have the water classes as I'm using H3 for the titles. Okay, I use H1 for the title, so I'll stick to H1. Then for this is going to be a container class. And for this, I'll need a row and a column too. So I'll just create a row and a column. So that will be called 6. And then get this image. Just get the first image. And get the first image. Put it here. Then the next is the text image. Next is the name of the client. Then I'll just create the H4. Then for the content, just copy the content. And then for this, we'll just have another paragraph here. Okay, so let's see what we have before we proceed. Okay. Okay, so this image is really big. We are going to resize the image. Since it's smaller, I'll use a width that I can fit in there. Let me use a width of 100 pixels. And then I use and the height of 100 pixel. Then I'll use object fits. I don't know if you've heard of this CSS property. I'll use cover so that it will not stretch the image or make it look shrink. So that property is for this image. Let me use this as client images. So in my CSS, I will have that here as reason why I'm using all these CSS property with Bootstrap is because Bootstrap doesn't have all these property. So if it has, I would use that instead of going through this trace of typing. Okay, so let's see what we have. Okay, and another thing we'll need to do on the image is making it round like this. So I'll use my Bootstrap property that is rounded circle class from Bootstrap, and I should have it rounded. Okay, let's fix the background color to see where our issue is coming from. I'll give this a div, everything here, just give it a div, and then with the div I can add a background color to it. So this is going to be first glance. Sorry, I like using this iPhone. And then we'll have that background. Okay. I think we have the background here already, so I can just attach this to it instead of creating more classes. So it should work. Okay, and there is also a curved, it has a curved edge. Let's give it a padding and then align all the items center. Let me do text align center. And then for that curved edge, I'll use a rounded class from Bootstrap to achieve. Okay, so I have the curved edge and the padding of 5. Okay, this is very close. And the text of white. And then this is going to also have a padding top of 3 pixels. Okay. Yeah, I think this other class is deeper. This property is deeper. So I noticed that the other background is lighter, so I will change it. Let's have a closed background with what we have on the template. So I'll just take off this one here and here. They have this as our background color. Okay. Okay, so this works fine. What people say will also align that center. So we have a text center, and then we have a PY4 to give it padding top and padding bottom. Okay, and then the next one, that is the other. For this one, too, we also need to change the home screen. We need to fix that too, so that it will be responsive across all screens. Large screen will have LG. So I'll just copy this and then and I will just change the background color for this one. Let me assume that this is for the second event. Okay, this is the color you use. Let me just take this color. This is background color. Okay. All right. Okay, so this is what we have. Then to give this space, you give it the padding. You can give it padding, padding PX, that is padding left and right to have this space. So I don't know, does anybody have question? Because I'll be rounding up now because of our time. If anybody have any question, just raise your hand and ask. Or anybody have issue implementing any section from this code? All right. So I want to believe that so far we understand how I did this with Bootstrap. And you also notice that we have fewer styling here, just 24 lines of CSS code. So with Bootstrap, you can do so much and then just write a little style for your project. But if you have question, you can still put it across on Slack or just ask any mentor on the Slack channel. All right. Thank you for joining the class today. Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, you can take over from here. All right, I don't think IK is on the call, but thank you everyone for your time and do have a wonderful day. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.